February 9th, 2004. A snowy night in rural New Hampshire. A car is found crashed on a dark, isolated road. The driver, a 21-year-old nursing student, is nowhere to be found. Her belongings are in the car, her cell phone is missing, and in the 60 seconds between a neighbor's call and the police's arrival, she vanishes. Just like that. No footprints, no struggle, no goodbye, just silence and snow. This is the story of one of America's most chilling unsolved disappearances. A case with more questions than answers, and one that refuses to be forgotten. Welcome to Voices Unseen, where we dive into the darkest corners of true crime, disappearances, and unsolved mysteries. It was a cold Monday evening on February 9th, 2004, when 21-year-old nursing student Maura Murray got into her black 1996 Saturn sedan and drove into the freezing mountains of New Hampshire. She didn't tell anyone where she was going, not her boyfriend, not her father, not even her closest friends. Earlier that same day, she emailed her professors, claiming there had been a death in the family and that she needed to take some time off from school. But there was no such death. It was a lie, and what followed would become one of the most mysterious and haunting disappearances in modern American history. Maura Murray wasn't the kind of person anyone expected to simply disappear. Born on May 4, 1982, in Hampshire, Massachusetts, Maura was the fourth of 5 children in a close-knit Irish Catholic family. She was bright, athletic, and driven. In high school, she excelled at track and cross-country running. Her intellect and discipline earned her a spot at the prestigious United States Military Academy at West Point. However, after a short time, she transferred to the University of Massachusetts Amherst to pursue a nursing degree, reportedly to be closer to her boyfriend, Bill Rausch, who was also a West Point graduate. But beneath the image of a focused, successful young woman, there were cracks forming. Maura had recently been caught using stolen credit card numbers to order food, a relatively minor offense, but still troubling. Her relationship with her boyfriend had grown tense, with allegations of infidelity and emotional distance surfacing. A few days before her disappearance, Maura received a phone call at her on-campus job that left her emotionally shattered. She cried uncontrollably and wouldn't say who had called or why she was so distraught. Her supervisor eventually had to walk her back to her dorm room. Then, on February 9th, something shifted. Maura packed up her car with clothing, textbooks, printed directions to a cabin in Vermont, and purchased nearly $40 worth of alcohol, including Bailey's Irish Cream, Kahlua, vodka, and a box of Francia wine. She also withdrew almost all the money in her bank account, just $280, and filled her gas tank before beginning the mysterious journey northward. Her final phone activity showed a call to a rental property owner in Vermont and an email to her professors claiming she'd be away for a family emergency. No one knows exactly why she picked that region, but it appeared she was trying to escape something or someone. By 7:25 p.m., Maura had made it into Haverhill, New Hampshire, a rural town near the White Mountains. Somewhere along Route 112, also known as Wild Ammonoosuc Road, her car veered off the road and crashed into a snowbank. A nearby resident heard the noise and looked outside. She saw a black car with its front end damaged and a young woman standing next to it. Another neighbor, a former school bus driver, stopped and spoke to Maura, offering to call the police. She declined, telling him she had already called AAA. But cell phone service in the area was almost non-existent, and no call had been made. Police were notified at 7:27 p.m. and arrived on the scene just 10 minutes later, but Maura was gone. The car was locked. Inside, police found her belongings, including the box of wine, some of which had spilled, and her packed bags. Her cell phone, debit card, and ID were missing. There were no visible footprints leading away from the car in any direction, and no signs of a struggle. Her scent was traced by search dogs for about 100 feet down the road, and then it just stopped. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. Initially, Law enforcement treated the incident as a simple case of a young woman walking away after a minor crash. Maybe she was embarrassed, maybe she'd been drinking. But Maura's family, especially her father Fred, insisted that something far more serious had occurred. Fred quickly traveled to New Hampshire and began searching for his daughter himself, handing out flyers, speaking to reporters, and criticizing the police for what he felt was a lackluster investigation in the early hours, when every minute counts. Over the days and weeks that followed, multiple searches were conducted. Volunteers, police, helicopters, tracking dogs, and thermal imaging equipment were all used. Still, no trace of Maura was ever found. Her bank accounts remained untouched. Her cell phone was never used again. There were no confirmed sightings. It was as if the earth had swallowed her whole. As the story gained national attention, theories began to swirl. Some believed Maura had planned her own disappearance, that she wanted to start a new life and had staged everything from the crash to the misleading emails. Others believed she may have met with foul play, possibly picked up by a passerby with sinister intentions. There were even whispers of a serial predator operating in the area, though no solid evidence ever supported that claim. Her father Fred believed strongly that Maura had been abducted. He felt that the crash was just the beginning, that someone had picked her up moments before police arrived. His frustration with law enforcement only deepened over the years, especially as the investigation seemed to lose momentum. Despite his pleas, Maura's disappearance became a cold case. But internet sleuths refused to let the case die. As forums like Reddit and web sleuths grew in popularity, Maura's case became one of the earliest and most discussed citizen-investigated mysteries. People dissected every detail: the car damage, the phone records, the last emails, the weather, the alcohol, the lies, and the missing items. Some believed her boyfriend or family were hiding something. Others were convinced she had experienced a mental health crisis and wandered into the woods. But every theory had gaps, and nothing ever led to answers. Years passed. In 2017, the home closest to where Maura's scent trail ended was searched after new information came to light. Cadaver dogs reportedly reacted to the basement, and ground-penetrating radar suggested a disturbance beneath the cement floor. But when police finally excavated the area, no remains were found. The lead turned out to be yet another dead end. To this day, Maura Murray has never been found. No body, no confirmed sightings, no major suspects. She simply disappeared on a snowy New Hampshire night, minutes before help arrived. Her case remains one of America's most baffling modern mysteries. A heartbreaking story of a promising young life gone missing in the blink of an eye. What happened to Maura? Did she run away and start a new life under a new name? Was she taken by someone, perhaps even someone she trusted? Or did she get lost in the darkness, consumed by the cold wilderness that surrounded her final known location? Nearly 2 decades later, those questions still remain unanswered. But her family has never stopped searching. And for those who've followed this case over the years, the hope endures that someday, the truth about Maura Murray's disappearance will finally come to light.